So growth, how we probably grew like over 100%.
I think like honestly, I think you're being humble on this one. Like,
TK is awesome. You're a great coach because I was an athlete, so we rely on having great coaches to improve. And then I was a coach, so I was on both ends, right?
Inside of my SaaS go-to-market coaching program, I've been working with a founder named Lil. Lil is CEO and founder of a company called Timmy. I know, Lil, Timmy, I always have to keep it straight in my head. But I started doing these interviews because we have started to see success from a lot of founders that have gone through the go-to-market program that have applied the principles that I teach in this channel on scaling SaaS companies. And the incredible thing with Lil is she operates a micro SaaS business that actually grew 300% over the last year of us working together. It's micro SaaS. They are actually targeting sports academies. Sports academies, like, is that a big enough TAM? Is it not? They actually had to go after really busy sports directors. Lil is actually a former athlete, so she head coaches and she's passionate about sports. So all these things were super interesting and a really incredible challenge in helping this company grow. In this episode, I'm gonna walk you through the key lessons we learned as we scaled this company and grew it over 300% in the last year. Intro. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Unstoppable. I'm TK, and on this channel, I help SaaS founders like you grow your SaaS businesses faster with an unstoppable strategy. Now, if you are new to this channel, welcome. I drop an episode every single Sunday with actionable strategies on how to grow your SaaS business faster. So be sure to hit that subscribe button and that bell icon. That way you'll get notified every single time I drop an episode with the TK energy. Now, if you are part of this community already, if you're part of my coaching programs, my people, welcome back. It's really awesome to see you over here. All right, so when I first met Lil, first of all, I really enjoyed meeting her. And she was working on this SaaS product that helped sports academies transform how they operated, like completely end-to-end workflow. It struck me in a couple of different ways. One, she was a former athlete. So I'm like, oh my God, this is gonna make an awesome manifesto. She actually knows what she's talking about. She has experience in this. Two, I was like, sports academies. Like, is that a lot of TAM? Is that not enough TAM? And one of the cool things about the go-to-market program is we have extreme venture scale business going after massive TAMs, and it's obvious. And then we have venture-backed businesses that are going after TAMs that I was surprised on how big it is. And then we have micro SaaS businesses that don't need massive TAMs, but needs the right market. And so you see the full gamut. And I was super interested in the story and the market she was going after. And so we started working together. Fast forward to today, after nearly a year of working together, they grew over 300%. Lil, in the interview, in the video that I'm gonna show you right after this, will say over 100%. She was being humble, and we double checked the figures. She had incredible growth, and we learned a ton. And we learned things about her TAM, we learned things about her positioning, the channels. And what I love about videos like this is, so often I bring you videos on here are the principles, but I also like showing videos like this where we really dig into like, okay, if we apply the principles, what did we learn, what worked, what didn't work? And that's what you're gonna get out of this video. So that way it'll really round out your understanding of how we approach scaling SaaS companies the right way. And one of the things that I absolutely love about Timmy and what Lil is doing there is micro SaaS businesses can grow into massive SaaS businesses if you wanted to, if the market's right. The example or the analogy that I would use is a company called Squire. Squire builds digital workflows and a SaaS offering for barbershops. And you can imagine like barbershops, just like how you would say sports academies, but they now have over 2,000 barbershops on their platform, and they just got valued at $750 million. And they had an investment done by Tiger Global. And so this is the exciting thing about SaaS. Even markets that may be small can end up being massive and could create massive companies. Even markets that you're like, oh, this may not be worth it, investors may not be worried, it wouldn't matter because you can still build massive growth even as a micro SaaS. So there's so many options. And so in this video where I got on a call with Lil and we really dug into like, okay, cool, like let's just talk about this past year of working together, what worked well for you, what didn't. Here's the key things you're gonna learn if you watch till the end of this video. Number one, we're going to talk about TAM, total addressable market. Obviously, sports academies is an interesting market to go after. And so we talk about like, how did you think about how big it was, how small it was, is it appropriate? Like, can this go even bigger? So we talk about that. The second thing we talk about is her manifesto. Building a manifesto, which is your positioning, your messaging, the big transformation, telling it in a story, was something we worked a lot around. So we dig into like, well, what worked, what didn't work, and how did it actually help in the sales process that she was using? So we talk about that as well. Number three, we'll talk about balance. Lil is a SaaS founder. She is essentially a solo founder. She operates a micro SaaS. She's also a core team member, right? She has a very tiny team. She's also a parent. She's a mom. She's balancing a lot of things. And I was like, we got to talk about this. Like, you've done incredible performance, and obviously you're an athlete, so you know what it means to like execute, right? But still, like, how do you balance it? How do you approach it? And so we dig into that as well, because I thought this is a huge opportunity, because I know a lot of founders are trying to balance family and friends and personal life and building companies. And so we talk about that. And then lastly, we round out with like, okay, 300% growth. What's next for you? And of course, you already know some of this. Lil's like, well, that was pretty good. We need to do this now. She's moved the goalposts. And so we talk a little bit around like how she thinks about scaling beyond this, what her next hire is going to be as she thinks about maybe taking this from micro SaaS to full SaaS, or even just continue to scale it within the micro SaaS construct. And we talk a little bit around, does that even matter? Like micro SaaS versus SaaS, like it's a SaaS business that's scaling. And so what does that look like? So I thoroughly enjoyed this conversation. And if you watch till the end, I know you're gonna love it too. So let's now queue up to the live conversation that I had with Lil and I, where we just dug into like working together inside of the go-to-market program and the 300% growth that she's had. She's gonna say 100%, she was being humble. We did the math, it's over 300%, it's incredible. Also, if you're excited to dig in, go ahead and smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm. And now let's go to Lil.
I really want to thank you for agreeing to do Sass and Scotch. I'm super excited about it. I think it'll be cool to tell your story, what you guys are working on, and what you've gotten out of the program also. So, and we keep it pretty casual. So I've interviewed a few founders that are like, I didn't prepare. I'm like, you don't need to prepare. We're just going to talk. Like, it's just like a hot seat. So
Yeah, exactly.
so maybe we'll just like start off with like, just for everyone listening, tell us what Timmy does. Tell us your story of how you got into building Timmy, along with all the amazing things you're doing in your life. Let's start there.
Okay, yeah, so Timmy is a software that helps sport academies manage their students, payments, and essentially run the back office of the operation. We really focus on using automation and eventually a lot of artificial intelligence to make sure that our sports academy directors do the least possible to be able to collect their payments and communicate with the clients and just grow without having to do a lot of work administratively.
That's awesome.
So the way I got into it is because I was a competitive tennis player and I also manage a lot of tennis academies. And that's when I was exposed to the inefficiencies of how they were running their businesses. They were using paper, Google Forms, and it was just a nightmare to try to collect the money, organize roster, communicate with the parents, know what your financials are. And when we look at a system to help us manage the academies, we couldn't find a system that was easy to use for us as administrators and for parents. So that's when we embarked on a journey to build a system. And we had a lot of challenges over the years. We actually had to redo the system a couple of times, but I think this time we have the right formula and it's working pretty well now.
My favorite thing is seeing founders who have domain knowledge that in a very specific industry and are going out there and solving the problems for it. And you're like the quintessential definition of that, which is why I always enjoyed working with you, because you're like, you were an athlete and you're like, no, I know exactly what happens in these places and I know what they need. And on one hand, you had that domain. On the other hand, like every industry, every nook and cranny of the world is going through digital transformation. You were in the middle of both, which was so cool.
Yeah, what's also really cool is because when I talk to tennis directors, our system is for all sports, but for right now I'm really working with tennis directors. When I talk to them, they're like, oh, I mean, we just have a really good conversation because I seem to really understand what they're going through and they really appreciate that I thought about a solution for their challenges. So it's pretty neat to see.
Yeah, it's always interesting, like from your perspective, as you were thinking about doing this, one of the things entrepreneurs always struggle with is this problem too small or too big or the right size? You know, how many tennis sports academies are there in the US, right? Like that's one thing that, you know, I'm sure crossed your mind. Maybe tell us a little bit around, did that cross your mind, TAM, as everyone thinks about it? How did you convince yourself like, no, this is good and this is big enough and let's go do it? Which I think it is. I think if you think about a number of sports academies out in the world, it's a big market.
Yes. And we really just started with tennis. So we haven't even really counted all the other sports. We didn't want to get too overwhelmed. For tennis, we have there's probably about 10,000 tennis academies, and there's more clubs. There's about 20 or 30,000 clubs, but we had to focus because you have the private clubs or the country club. That's like a different market. That's more complicated to reach. You have to talk to the directors. The sales cycle is long. They need more features that we didn't really want to spend the time building. So we went for independent academies. They just rent the facility and run their show. So it's easier to access the director. And that's the niche we're going after. So so there's probably about 10,000 of them. And then those are the people we're going after.
That's awesome. So we started working together. You joined the Go-to-Market program about 12 months ago. It's coming up on a year, which is crazy. Like it was like December of last year. It's so insane. Maybe tell us a little bit around what stage of the business were you in 12 months ago? What got you interested in joining a program like this?
So 12 months ago, we had our MVP done, and we had some clients using it, our older clients from our previous software using the system, and we were trying to grow, but we didn't have, and I always knew we needed a strategy because obviously being a competitive athlete, you can't just step in and just like do whatever you want to do. You need to have a plan. So I always knew we needed to have a strategy, but I didn't know really how to approach it. And my husband has been following your YouTube videos, and he sends those to me. And then so when he learned about the program, he's like, hey, do you want to try this? So I looked it up and I said, okay, I think this is going to work. So when we finally joined the program, it really helped just going through the exercise of finding my ideal client profile and just defining having my manifesto done and getting into my strategy, my sales sequence. That was very, very helpful. When I implemented that starting in like February, we had like a really good growth. We got a bunch of signups, and then and so I finally got a process that I thought would work, and that was really helpful.
Yeah, I remember when you and I were talking first, and we were doing some hot seats, and it was like, okay, sports academies, like how many are there? How do you reach out to them? What are they doing now? Like all these questions that we went through. And for me, it was really interesting because it was a new world to me. And this is one of those interesting things about these type of, if you will, micro SaaS business going after very specific things, but big market to attack and win.
Yeah.
And it was cool to see how you got the messaging down and you figured out how to like actually reach these people. Cause you can't just like run a Facebook ad to these people. They're busy people.
Yes. Yeah. So essentially what it came down to, you send a bunch of emails, they read it, but they don't respond. And then you call them, they're like, oh yeah, I got your email. So calling was kind of fun, but obviously it's challenging because you have to get on the phone calls, leave a message, follow up. But if you're able to get a hold of them and you're able to kind of get through what you're trying to do and how you're helping them, usually it was a good call. And then if I was able to get a demo, my demo to close ratio was probably about 90%.
That's awesome.
So once they agree to a demo, I can probably say, okay, I got them. I lost very few after a demo. The hardest thing is how do you get them to a demo? That's really the hardest thing.
Right. Yeah, it was cool to see how like the combination of like, you got to like educate them in email, and then they're watching, but they're not engaged. And then you got to catch them because they're busy people, which was like apparently the formula for you guys to really mobilize them.
Yes, absolutely. So yeah, so that's what we're trying to do next year, just having another person also making the phone calls and setting up the demos so that we can grow a little bit faster.
Yeah.
But so far we found a formula that's working. Obviously, I would like to maybe try other things that are a little faster, quicker bullets, like get them to sign up, but I don't know if those will work. So I don't know. I'll probably try some next year and see.
Yeah, what we've seen always is the momentum builds as you start to get more and more comes, because they all, in a way, your people talk to each other. But
Right.
it's certainly exciting piece because you've got a lot of the foundations right now.
Right.
Looking back on the last 12 months, what would you say, like, what was the most valuable piece that you got out of the go-to-market program?
Also, the most valuable thing was the building the manifesto. Actually, was with two things: building the manifesto and then building my email sequence. So those were the most valuable things because then I could use the elements from both in my phone calls. So just having that structure, knowing that you're giving the right message, that you're hitting the key points was really, really helpful.
Yeah.
So yeah, those will be the two things. Yeah.
I think like what's interesting about your industry for a lot of SaaS companies, it's like, what's the default that they're going to do? Like the paper and pencil and spreadsheets, or like the swiping of the PayPal. And how do you get them to realize there's more? And like, that's always a big challenge. And it was a lot of fun working with you on the manifesto for those kind of things to figure out what it means for their world.
Exactly. And I think more and more, some people are coming to the realization that you need to automate those things. Like the other day, I got to sign up somebody I'd never even talked to. Actually, he wasn't even on my list, potential list. And then finally I called him and I said, hey, trying to get him going. And I asked him, how did you hear about us? He said, oh, there's another academy in the neighborhood that uses you guys. So, and he was using Google Form, which is exactly what we tell them not to do. So he was like, Google Form doesn't work. I'm like, yeah, I know. So that was really refreshing to hear.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit around, this interesting dynamic where you were an athlete and now you're selling to these coaches and, they manage these athletes. Like that dynamic, how does that impact how you sell it? Like, do you think that gives you more credibility, or does that change how you engage? Like, what's that like? Because you almost are like, hey, like, I'm credible in this, right? Like, and that was one of the big pieces we talked about in the manifesto. Right. How's that manifested itself in your sales conversations?
It's been, quite honestly, it's been fantastic, but it's also scary at the same time because I'm like, if I need to hire somebody, they probably need to have the same background, because when I'm talking to these tennis directors, sometimes we end up talking about tennis technique or coaching technique. And like, I'm right there with them because I was also a coach. And then we jump into management and you really kind of turns into a consulting. They end up asking me, oh, what do you think? Should I change my pricing here? And I'm like, well, most of the people we work with, the average pricing is this. They're like, yeah, I should change my pricing. What do you think about this? So it really ends up being a consulting call, and they really believe and trust the information that I'm giving them. So that has definitely been a big plus. But I also can see that as a challenge, not as a challenge, but I will have to find somebody who can probably project that same kind of knowledge, so that when they make those phone calls, those people will feel comfortable talking to them.
You are not alone in this, because using your own authority and your background and why you started this company and talking about it is a cheat code in early stage. But then the double-edged sword is like, well, what happens when I hire 5 sales reps? It's like, well, you have to train them. And instead of saying, here's what I did when I was an athlete, they have to be trained to be able to say, well, here's what our founder did when they were an athlete. Like, and that, like, it translates over relatively well. So don't worry, you'll be able to scale just fine.
Okay, great. Yeah, because I've been thinking about it. Because usually when I call, I say, hey, I'm a tennis coach, or I'm a tennis director. And so then they're like, oh, okay, tennis person. Like, okay, I can talk to them. So it kind of lowers their guard, and then we get into the conversation about the programs and how they manage things.
What was the toughest part over the last 12 months?
Toughest part for really, it was time management, because we had an MVP, and then we had people using the system, and they were mostly happy with it, but they still wanted some stuff, quite frankly, that I thought we needed to do. And so I was in the middle of scaling and making all those phone calls, but then also making sure that the new features we are providing are really solving the needs of our clients. And so we have a technical person, but I have to still make sure that the product works the way I think it will work for our clients. So it was kind of like, okay, today I'm gonna make these phone calls, and then my support people call me, and my engineers call me, and then, and it was so the hardest thing was really, okay, can I, if I just had like 6 hours just focusing on phone calls, I think it would have been great. But I was split, between that and obviously, family thing, taking my daughter here and daughter there. So
Yeah.
so that was the hardest thing.
I mean, okay, so I want to dig into that a little bit because I think our audience will get a lot of value. Like part of that is the founder dilemma, right? Especially when you are self-funding or bootstrapping, you don't have the venture dollars to just deploy and hire to 50 people. So it's a different kind of business. So part is like you got to wear multiple hats, and how do you keep doing the growth things that got you to success, but also make sure the clients are, or like customers are successful. So I get that.
Exactly.
Which I can totally empathize with, like I was a solo founder myself, and so I get it. But like you're growing the business,
right?
Also at the same time, you're a parent, you're a mom,
right?
And I think that between moms and dads, expectations are different, loads are different,
right?
And so I know there are a lot of founders in our audience that are listening that are parents, that are moms. What's like the one advice you would give that has served you over the last 12 months as you're managing these things, as you're managing being a parent and a mom and also being a SaaS founder?
Well, number one thing is get help. You can't do it all. So I'm lucky I have my mom. She stays with us, so she's helping with the kids,
That's awesome.
most of the time, but I still have to do, the things I have to do. And my daughter, she's 8, she plays competitive tennis, so I am coaching her. So
that's so cool.
Yeah. So in the afternoon, we're out on the court, grinding it out. And so she's another SaaS, well, not SaaS, but she's another startup that I'm working on.
Yeah.
So the biggest thing is get help. Second thing is, just really get organized. I try to do my organization things, following some of the tips you gave us on staying organized, planning your Sundays. I don't always plan my Sundays, but I try to.
Yeah.
Just really trying to be organized. And one thing that I'm really trying to get better at is really stop the distractions. I have this big poster on my wall. Stop the distraction. Sometimes you want to answer phone calls or, I don't know, go online and see something. So, and that just kills your time. So I guess get help, get organized, try not to be distracted during your day because we don't have a lot of time.
Yeah, that makes sense. It does come down to basic principles and discipline of like, hey, like, why are you doing this? Let's stay focused on it and let's make sure we get the leverage that we can. And like, those are what it comes down to for any of these things in life, for sure. Starting at the 12-month mark to now, like how much growth have you seen in the business?
So growth, we probably grew like over 100%.
Yeah, that's incredible.
It's incredible. I mean, it felt nice. It felt like it was a great progress, but obviously I'm still so far from my $1 million ARR that I'm looking for.
Well, firstly, it compounds. I think honestly, I think you're being humble on this one. Like, I think I think one of the toughest things as being a founder is we move the goalpost. Like we're like, if only we got to this, and as you're approaching this, you move the goalpost.
Yeah.
And you don't give yourself credit. It's important to like recognize like how far you. And I'm super excited for you.
Thank you. I mean, obviously my post has already moved. I'm like, okay, this is great, but I need to get to
I know how that goes. But remember, SaaS compounds, and that's what it's going to go faster and faster and faster. What 370% is incredible. I'm super pumped. So what are you excited about? Like, as you're looking into this next year, as you're looking into like everything you've learned and applied, you've figured out these things, like what are you excited about and where are you taking the business?
I'm really excited about just reaching more people, because on my potential clients list, there's still a lot of people that are using PayPal that are not essentially automating their system. So I'm really excited about what my husband calls saving them. You got to save them, Lil.
Yes, that's correct.
You have to save them, help them. So I'm really excited about helping them.
Save them from Google Forms.
That's right. That's right. So that's really what I'm excited about. Probably the biggest achievement that I'm looking for next year is to find a salesperson that will be able to make those phone calls along with me, so that we can really have a strong process, really have a lot of demos, a lot of appointments each week, and that's really going to help our growth. So I think if there's only really one thing that I can achieve next year, it will be to find that right person and really get that machine rolling.
That's awesome. So in the audience, if you are an athlete
Yes.
and a SaaS salesperson,
Yes.
then you want to be reaching out to Lil, because she's got the perfect role for you.
That's right. Call me.
And if you happen to be a sports director, like then definitely you want to reach out to Lil.
Thank you. And what I would like to add, share with the audience is TK is awesome. you're a great coach, because I was an athlete, so we rely on having great coaches to improve. And then I was a coach, so I was on both ends, right? And you're doing great, really providing structure, encouraging. You're always encouraging. Even if I come and like, okay, my sales dip by like 1,000%, you'll be like, that's okay. You can build it up. And so you're always encouraging, which is very refreshing, because it's really easy to get frustrated as an entrepreneur, and and when you feel like you don't know what you're doing, even though you feel like you do, you're always very encouraging. And I really like the structure, because I do believe, as a coach, I believe in technical foundation. If you don't have the right technique, you're not going to be able to improve. And you really focus on that, giving us all those tools, all those, the training, all those different spreadsheets that I haven't completely filled out yet, but I have them.
You're getting there.
So see, again, you're positive. Like I would have had my students do like 5 burpees for not doing the homework, but you're positive, encouraging. So thank you so much. It's been really, really good working with you. And I'm looking forward to hitting my next milestone with your guidance.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the kind words. Like, firstly, it means a lot to me. Secondly, it means that much more because I know the level of coaches you get to have worked with given your career as an athlete. I think like a lot of founders come into coaching, they don't really know what to expect from a coach because they've never had a coach before. You've had a coach. So it means a lot for what you said. Like truly, it means a lot to me. Thank you. It's very kind of you to say.
Of course.
Yeah. And I think coaching, like in itself, like, it's so valuable. Like you're right. You're lucky that you got exposed to it when you were an athlete, because now you seek out coaching. I didn't know about coaching until much later in life, and it makes such a big difference. It's for sure.
He does.
You'll be proud. I hired a trainer to coach me.
Nice.
I'm down 25 pounds and 10% of body fat in the last 80
that's
days.
Really cool.
I'm super. I feel amazing. I I thought I had energy before, the TK energy, but I feel like I got way more now. Like it's amazing.
Yes, that's awesome. Well, keep pounding that energy on us. We love it.
Lil, thank you so much for joining, and I hope you come back to the show in another year or a few months and give us the update on how things are going and how you're scaling. And it would be great to have you back on. How can people reach out to you? Like whether it's founders that are inspired by everything you're doing, whether it's a potential salesperson or a sports academy director. Hey, you never know. The internet's a big place. How can they learn more about Timmy? How can they reach out to you?
Oh, sure. Yeah, they can definitely visit our website, www.gotimmy.com. They can email me at Lille, Lille @gotimmy.com. And my phone number is 949-328-6836. You can text me. That is the first on this show. No one's ever given out their phone number before, but I love it. It's totally the right way to do it. It's out there anyway, so I might as well give it. Lille, I am so excited for you.
It's been so much fun. Like I've learned a ton working with you, and I'm so excited for the foundation you've built, the growth you've seen. Even though you moved the goalpost, I'm excited for what's ahead. This is why you're also an athlete. You're like, that was cool. That was the last year's game. Like we're going on the next year's game.
That's right.
Yeah, no, I'm super excited for you, and I'm sure the audience will get a lot of value from you sharing your story here. Like it's just so cool, all the things that you're doing. So thank you so much for doing this.
Okay, wasn't that awesome? So now if you're still watching, hopefully you got a ton of value. If you did, be sure to smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm. And you know, the reason I love doing these interviews is it's a little different than me just giving you the principles. It gets into like, hey, the principles work. When you apply them, here's what happens. And so if you're in that stage where you're scaling your SaaS business, whether it's a micro SaaS business or a full SaaS business, whether you're going after a small TAM or a large TAM, as long as you have some revenues and you're looking to really scale your go-to-market and scale the revenues, then I invite you to check out my SaaS go-to-market program. Inside of that program, I help you build and execute on a scalable go-to-market machine so that you can actually accelerate your path to the next stage of growth. To get more details about the program, just go to tkcater.com/GTM. tkcater.com/GTM. All the details are there. More customer testimonial videos are there. Success stories are there. All of that is over there so you can learn more about it. Also, if you have a fellow founder who'll get value from this, or a friend that is interested in SaaS companies, please share it with them. It'll just mean the world to me and my team. We put a lot of love into these videos. I also drop an episode like this every single Sunday with actionable strategies on how to grow your SaaS business faster. So be sure to hit the subscribe button and that bell icon if you haven't already, so you'll get notified every single time I drop an episode. And lastly, remember, everyone needs a strategy for their life and their business. When you are with us, yours is gonna be unstoppable. I'm TK, and I'll see you inside of the go-to-market program or on the next episode, or ideally both. Take care, everybody.